Yo, what's going on YouTube? You're on the lifeboat. It's Captain Calhoun speaking. Let's get a 5x5 right as we begin. I've switched up a bunch of stuff with my setup, so I want to make sure that we're still sounding good and looking good. I have my own face over here, and I have the chat right here. And we could put anything anywhere, but I just want to make sure that with all my fiddling and moving screens and touching wires that I still sound good before we get into today's show. So if you ever catch me looking this way, I'm checking to see how I look, which I shouldn't be doing a ton of, honestly. It doesn't really matter. I definitely, how I look didn't change in the last 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So I don't know why it's so important to my subconscious, but it is. It very much is. Blessed to Crochet. Hello, Captain and crew. Good to see you. Oop, can I not do the thing on this side? That is interesting. I don't know if this is going to work how I wanted it to now. We might have to switch it up again, guys. Hold on. Please hold. I really thought that was going to work good. Maybe it still will. I don't want my face right in front of me because it's distracting, but in order to click on your chat messages, I might have to have it in front of me. What a bummer. It's okay. Who cares? I don't care. I don't care. Got my coffee. I'm ready to ask some important questions and hopefully provide some answers. Gemini Girl 65, good morning. Rolling Stone, making it alive. Just bought a new camper. Stoked for you, Rolling Stone. Time to break that bad boy in. You know what I mean? DNV, like the bandana. Yeah, my hair deserves a good wash, so I figured I'd put it away for today, or for this morning at least. If I had time, it would be clean. Ben Bacon Bits, what's going on? Seventh Son, Brenda Solier. I love that name. Hope I pronounced it right. Flick Fox, I nearly ran a granny over with a trolley to be here on time. Hey, crew. Well, I'm glad you didn't run a granny over. I'm glad you're here too, Flick Fox. Good to see you. Brazy Girl, Tina Marie, my other's keeper. Hello, hello, Robin Miners, Layla Bradley, Ree from Ree's Connecting. What is going on? I live for now. It's going to be a good morning. Lots of folks in this morning. Shannon Smith, Body Illusion. The bacon bits are everywhere. Everywhere in the chat right now. It's crazy. We have been hanging out for just a little bit. Kind of having some coffee, getting things together. Sandy Wandy, good to see you. Yeah, everything looks to be in order. Although I can't scroll up. Man, the way that all these systems work, it's a little ridiculous sometimes. Lori Abs, Rick Smith, hello. Welcome in, good morning. Dirty Mouse, Marjan. Yo. All right. Now my setup is like aggravating and not wonderful, but that's okay. Maybe we're going to reverse the curse. Let's do this. This is going to have to do. I'm going to have to just not look at myself, and we'll just have some discipline. It'll be fine. And if I need to if I need the YouTube chat, I'll come over here. All right. That being said, I love that I have two monitors now. We're not going to do a ton with it today. It will enable me to like share images and stuff through the live stream a lot easier. It should also enable me to interact with chat and stuff easier. I was hoping it would help me make eye contact with the camera more easily, but this test run is proving that I know nothing. Jon Snow. Brianna Miller. My name's Shaq Zula, the mic, the ruler, the old schooler. You want a trip? I'll bring it to ya. Who is that? I should know this. Very Axl Rose, the Spaxel. You guys really dig that about me, don't you? I should. I could lean into it a little more. I definitely could. I haven't thought about it at all, but leaning into it would not be very difficult, I don't think. But yeah, who am I? Who do I want to be? Now my notes are covered up by my face. Maybe we'll just cover my face with my notes. Just the biggest. This will work. This will work just the same, guys. So who am I? Who do I want to be? We were talking yesterday about soul sickness. You know, after you get clean and sober, after you remove what you were addicted to and what was holding you back, you know, what does that leave? What's uncovered when you remove that? Well, it's probably a real sick human. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the drugs, the addictions, are just a symptom. So when you take them away, what's left? Well, what was already broken before the drugs. You know what I mean? And probably came into a serious disrepair through the time period you spent burying it, right? So how do we go about that? And that's what today's show is about. Who am I? Who do I want to be? These are questions I had to ask myself. Body Illusion Spanx, will it show super chats as different colors highlighted? I don't know what you're asking about. I'm using everything that we've been using. I just have it separated on screens. So I can show, it'll still show super chats just the way it always does. I was just trying to separate like where my face is living and where my eyes are living from like where tools that I need to use are, if that makes sense. It didn't work. So everything's working just how it was yesterday. There's nothing new now. But anyways, who am I? Who do I want to be? When I first asked this question, I was a crackhead. And that's not who I wanted to be. I wanted to be free. I wanted to change the world, travel the world, right? And that's how we ended up here. But the big question is, how do we accomplish these goals? Let's rewind for a second. You want to ask these questions. And the reason it's important is because if you don't have a goal, if you don't have it in your mind what you want to do, you're just going to continue to spin or do the spin cycle. You're just going to continue to wallow. We have to have clear goals, clear paths to victory. Otherwise, we're going to keep doing. It's really easy to just keep on feeding the addiction. It's real easy. I was having this conversation with someone about homeless people the other day. It's way easier to stay homeless than it is to claw your way out, right? It's obviously not a great way to live. You know, it's not good for the soul, the body. It's not easy, right? But it's a lot easier than pulling yourself out. So we want to design or choose or pick whatever word you want to use, clear goals, and then outline clear methods of getting there, right? So I asked, who do I want to be? Let's start real basic in general, right? Who do I want to be? Well, I knew I didn't want to be a friggin' crackhead. I didn't want to be homeless. You know what I mean? I want to be free. I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, right? And then on the side, I wouldn't mind applying what I've learned. You know, I wouldn't mind taking my terrible experiences and turning them into something good, right? I'd like to change the world just a little bit, right? So that's what we did. And the next step is, how do we accomplish these goals, right? Now that we have in mind who we want to be. And, you know, some of you might be hearing this message and you already know who you want to be. And that's great. I did not. So that's our first step. Our first step is to decide, where do we want to end up? What are we actually fighting for? That'll also give you something to fall back on. When the chips are down, you can remind yourself, yo, this is all this struggle is for this new life, right? All this struggle is so that I can change the world. All this struggle and all this struggle is for me to be able to be free, to travel the world, do what I want, when I want to, right? Having that weight is very important. It'll change your life. It'll enable you to make decisions and stick it out longer than you would have, which you're going to need. You're going to need these tools. This is not an easy thing that we talk about. One step at a time, baby steps is what I would say as well. And you know better than I do how much you're capable of taking onto your plate. I tell you what, I always would take a bunch of stuff onto my plate, and then I would drop things that I had going and working fine. I would drop the ball on things that were absolutely fine forever. When I would drop the ball on those because I would overload myself. I like to relate it to a juggling act. If all the balls I have in my juggle are like my hygiene, paying my rent, going to work, all these things that I need to do to live a life. Um, if I add 3 balls all at once instead of baby steps, I might drop the hygiene ball. I might be late to work. I might be late on rent. You know what I mean? I'm starting to drop balls that I had down to a science. So I think baby steps are good, but you know better than I do, how much you're capable of taking on, right? But we want to do this. We want to at least take steps. You don't want to not take steps. We need to start moving in this direction. And I will say at this point, good morning, Puka Vista, Laura Driscoll, Kim, what's going on? Deaudre Gore, bunch of people showing up. Let's go. I think we're good. All right. I have failed way more than I've succeeded. I have failed way more than I've succeeded. But you know what? I'm never afraid to try, to just give it a go. And I shouldn't say never afraid, but I always give it a go. I always give it a try. You know what I mean? Wherever I land, it's better than not trying and stagnating. We're not going to get anywhere by not taking chances. And I'm not encouraging you to go take a bunch of risks, but you're gonna have to put yourself out there just a little bit, or in order to get out of where you are. You're gonna have to go outside your comfort zone to change your reality. It's just a fact. So I encourage you. Again, I have failed way more than I've succeeded. I've done a boatload. That's funny. A boatload of failing. But I'm not afraid to give it a go. I just go for it. All right. And I'm not saying throw everything to the wayside and just, beeline it, right? But just don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to go for something. Failure is a part of growth. That's right, Kim. Failure is a huge part of growth. And we're going to fail. Don't be afraid of the failure. Be afraid of staying where you are. Be afraid of stagnation. Be afraid of becoming a pool of water that's getting sick because it's not flowing. You know what I mean? Lots of metaphors here today. And what we're going to do, the ginger shadow beard, maybe I'll let it go a little more. See what happens, huh? My hair is definitely, check this out. My hair is definitely it's getting there. If I could double the length of my undercut locations, it would be at the chin. So we're almost there. Next year, about this time, it'll be a whole nother animal. It'll be good. I've probably been growing my hair for like 6 or 7 years. I've cut it a few times, right? I've kept it trimmed, and then also there was that one time that I let it dread when I was really depressed, and I didn't take care of it for like 3 weeks, and we had to cut a bunch of it off. So that's how the undercut came about, and that's why my hair is not down to like my belly button. But that being said, anyways, we want to flip the light switch on your life, on our lives, right? Turn them lights on, all right? It's going to be like a black and white difference. I would tell myself a lot in early sobriety, I'm living a different life. A thought would come up, and I would be like, I'm living a different life. I'm living a different life. I'm living a different life because we talk about contrary action a lot. You're going to be doing a lot of things new. You're going to be doing a lot of things that you don't normally do. You're going to be making, especially like if you're doing this successfully, if you're going to succeed, you're going to be making a lot of contrary action decisions. Usually in the situation, I go get dope, or usually after work, I hit up my boys and, we have some drinks. Usually, it's not going to go down like that anymore. All right. I'm living a different life. My first priority was sobriety. I knew I couldn't do this whilst living the life, right? I immediately set up a support system. I called my dad, told him what was going on, right? Starting with my pops. That was number one support. And then I chose a couple key friends that I wanted to share this journey with, people that I trusted, right? And then everyone else fades to black. Everyone else. Eventually, we'll have to decide if those people get to stay, or I shouldn't say that, whether the rest are worth keeping or not. Most likely they're not. And everyone's situation's different. Everyone hits different depths, in their addictions, right? But I had to cut out most of the people that I knew. And that doesn't involve actively calling these people and, telling them like, in my heart, they're dead to me, and eventually I would bump into some of these people. Eventually I would, these people would pop up in front of me. And then I would have to, have a conversation, handle it, deal with it. Some of those people, I just ignored. Some of those people I shared a couple words. Some of those people I explained myself to, but not very many. Because it doesn't matter. What matters is your sobriety. What matters is, and honestly, if you want to get into it a little bit more, if you want to break it down a little bit, the people that I'm cutting off in this time period, the people in my early sobriety, the people that I let go of, don't want the best for me. They want to drag me back into sharing drugs and sharing funds, and sharing our time and wasting away together. They want someone to do that with, right? So I don't feel bad giving them the cold shoulder. I don't feel bad shutting them down. You know what I mean? And honestly, I had to kind of be like that in my heart in early sobriety, just a little militant. Like, look, it's my life or it's my death, right? So when it comes to these personal interactions, I'm not really trying to be super nice. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, that's for sure. But I'm not sweating the details. You know what I mean? What matters is that we're not hanging out all the time. We're not on like a text me all the time basis. In fact, I might not even text you back anymore. You know what I mean? Because I know who you are. I know who I am. I know where I'm headed, and I know where you're headed. And they're different. They're different places. I'm getting real fired up today. Getting real fired up. Good morning, Miss Chicago. I'm glad you made it. Peace and love. Body Illusion says, I try very hard to say, oh, well, don't do that again. That's not the direction to go, but it's hard. It is. It requires a little bit of discipline, right? In those moments of doubt, when I know what should be happening and I'm having a hard time making it happen, I remind myself again, we go back to the first thing I said, who do I want to be and who am I right now, right? That's why we put that weight. We decide these goals ahead of time, because when the chips are down and it's becoming difficult, remind ourselves what we're fighting for. And if it's important enough to you, you'll make it happen, right? And it's not like I'm not saying that like that made me feel like I was saying, you should just drink less. Why do you have a problem? That's not what I'm saying at all. Obviously this is a disease. We're talking about a sickness here. But for me, I have to make things important to myself. Otherwise I can't do the actions that need doing. So that's all I was trying to say is when it gets harder, I try to elevate the importance of the subject matter. And that's a hard thing to do, I guess. It's a really hard thing to do, but making things black and white in this kind of situation helps me a lot too. It's like, look, I'm going to dwindle away, end up dead or in jail, or I'm going to change my life. This is just a part of changing my life, right? Do I want to go back in that direction? Because that direction only leads a couple places. You know what I mean? There's literally just a few destinations I can end up at, and they all suck. So try to keep it black and white for myself, and it helps in those times, because it's going to be hard. Body Illusion, you raise a great point. Especially looking down the road, right? That isn't the right road. It's like even like staring at it. It's hard to not choose that road sometimes. You know what I mean? I totally get it. And again, that's why my first priority was sobriety. I knew I couldn't do this whilst living the life. Set up a support system, right? That's going to help a lot too. You've got your friends here. You've got your family. I'm sure that you have a 5, right? We talk about that a lot. Your 5 people that you can trust, that you talk to about stuff like this, that you can relate with. That's why we have all these tools. That's why we talk about so many different tools as well, because we know it's going to be hard. Even staring down the barrel of the gun. Sometimes it's hard not to eat it. That was a terrible metaphor. I wish I could take those words back. Whatever. Getting fired up. Captain, can you give us an update on new channels and shows? Now that my life is settling down, I have to get back to my lives and stay connected. I miss you guys. Well, I tell you what, I think the crew can probably do a better job than myself, but I will give you my spiel. Blessed to Crochet is on it right now with the ripple effects. So we don't do a lot of interacting anymore and like sharing streams and stuff. But all the ripples are still active. Conversations with Christy. I don't have my list in front of me anymore. Ben Bacon Bits is doing a thing now. Carol was doing some treatment, and I think she's doing better in his back. She messaged me the other day. I'll have to get with her. Things have changed a little bit. The Admiral went to, was it Kansas, to save Reese and helped her move. Saved her, helped her move, and now she's in Tennessee. And they have their Colts and Crims. They have like a channel together, as well as, we've got the Lifeboat, and Reese has Relatable Reese. So that's going on. My dad is kind of splitting his time between there and here lately, doing shows with me, doing shows with her, doing shows by himself. Technically, right now, there's kind of a loose agreement that I'm doing the mornings and the Admiral's doing the evenings. But we switch that up on a whim sometimes for fun. And to keep things fresh. Sometimes he'll literally just show up in the morning and walk in, and we'll sit on the couch. I'm planning on going over there and popping into one of his lives, but I haven't done that yet. I mean, there's a ton of ripples. We get new ripples every day. Ree at Ree's Connecting has a channel. She was in here this morning. I don't see her name right now, but I'm sure that's just because there's so many people here. There's a bunch of ripples. I should put together like a list that's not on the Discord. I should put together a list that's on YouTube, I feel like, to support. I want to go back and also redo some of the sections in our details and our video like uploads and stuff, because there's so much information. I feel like the important stuff, I mean, it's all important, but I feel like it's hard to sift through. Russ Allen, Info Dump Truck. What's going on, y'all? Welcome in. Kim says, when depression raises its ugly head and whispers in your ear, that is when it's tough to stay on task. However, for me, I find I do a mental flip off to the depression demon and stay focused. Interesting. I was talking about depression with my buddy Taj yesterday. Was it yesterday? Might have been 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. 2 days. Nobody loved me. Sweet koala, what's going on? Nobody loved me. Tried to change your mind, one step at a time. I know where I am. I know I'm unhappy, but my fear of the unknown is strong. Well, I will tell you, Newest Nut. Thanks for sharing that. Fear of the unknown is a human quality. Everybody shares that fear with you, so you're definitely not alone. But that doesn't take power away from that fear, right? It is a very strong fear. We all fear the unknown quite deeply for some reason. It's a very strange concept, but it is a fact. The question is, what's stronger, your fear of the unknown or your fear of staying where you are? Your fear of the unknown or your fear of where the path you're on right now will inevitably lead. And I don't know exactly where you're at and where it will lead, but I'm willing to bet that the inevitable destination, right? You probably know the implications of the outcome of staying where you're at, and who's to say what's going to happen on the other side of the unknown, right? I can relate with that decision quite a bit. Oh, also Rolling Stone, I should note, the Journal Companion is up and for sale on thelifeboat.live. In the products section, we now have the Journal Companion, which I have talked about quite a bit. And now that you're back, I can tell you about it. Finally got that sucker up there. It's discounted at like $5. So really affordable. And if you're having trouble journaling or getting started journaling, it's just what you need. Just what you need. Journal prompts for every day of the year. And on special days, super duper onion peeling questions. And I plan on doing one every year. kind of building, growing, progressively peeling the onion more and more, so to speak. I mean, because that's what I'm doing anyway, is journaling all the time. And y'all should be too, if you value your sobriety, in my opinion. So that being said, we're going to come out with a new journal companion every year, I think. Some of them will be relevant questions. Some of them will just be innocuous, but we'll get there together. The devil you know can be more comfortable. That's right, Shannon. That's correct. But are we going to settle? I mean, it's up to you. But are we going to settle? I couldn't settle for that. I couldn't do it. Info Dump Truck asks, how many people in here have an inner monologue, like with actual words? I used to think it was just a figure of speech. No, I absolutely constantly have an inner monologue. And that's literally what I put into my journal. Like, especially when it's really loud, when it just won't shut up, that's I take the journal out and I write down what it's saying. Great question, by the way, Info Dump Truck. You don't? Interesting. I wonder what that's like. Some people think in pictures and some people don't. Ben says, figures, my new mic isn't coming in until next week. I ordered some microphone covers, or basically it's like a poof ball to dampen sound. I'm hoping it takes the echo out of the room, but we'll see. Maybe not. It was only like $8, so if it doesn't work, it's not really a big deal. I got a 2-pack. One of them's just like a regular foam tip, and one of them's like a furry pimpy tip. So if it doesn't work, at least I have a fun fuzzy one. Gamer Jackie, what's going on? Good to see you. Puka Vista says, I have that inner monologue and it's loud today. Flick Fox, inner monologue 24/7. Looks like lots of inner monologues in here. Everyone else fades to black. Eventually, we decide whether to keep the rest or not. Most likely, they're not worth keeping. All right. Second priority. I did not finish my notes today, but we got pretty deep. Second priority, pick up some hobbies to fill my extra time. All right. I chose exercise and working out, the gym for its physical benefits and what it does to my brain chemistry, right? When you take away your drugs, whatever, when you take away the addiction, your brain's not going to be working right. You're not getting your reward system, how your brain tells you this is good, do more of this, or this is bad, don't do this. It's not working right. So we need to stimulate that part of our brain, and exercise is a great way to do this. I would say you can put anything here, right? A hobby to fill your free time, because you're going to have a lot of free time when you're not chasing down your next fix, when you're not, getting with the boys to have some drinks all the damn time. You're going to have a ton more time than you think. And you have to fill that time with stuff. Otherwise, your brain is going to whip up a storm and you're not going to stay sober, right? So you can put anything here. I would say it'll be specific to you, but put physical activity here if you're capable. That's what I'll say. If you're capable of doing physical activity, put something that's physical here. Sports, the gym, I don't know, anything physical, because the benefits of it are so high, it would be a shame to miss out. And if you're not capable of doing the physical stuff, no big deal, right? We can put something else here, but we want to keep your brain and your hands occupied. And you don't need to keep them occupied 100% of the time, but you don't want a 4-hour block of time where you've got nothing to do. You do not want that. That will be the end of you, I promise. So we're going to pick some hobbies, right? First priority, sobriety. We're going to set up a support system. We're going to evaluate our friend group, right? Cut most of them out. And I'm not telling you to cut your friends off, but like, if you're really honest with yourself, who belongs and who doesn't, Who has your best interests at heart and who doesn't? I bet you a lot less people have your best interests at heart than you think. Or maybe you already know, but especially if you're living the life, that number is going to be low. It just is. So we got our support group, we evaluate our friend group, and we pick some hobbies up, right? And that's a nice solid foundation right there. The next step is going to be setting goals, right? Of where, like, so we decided who we want to be. Where does that person end up, right? For me, I chose the YouTube thing. That's going to enable me to change the world and be free. But for you, it could be anything, right? Maybe you've always wanted to be a dancer. Maybe you've always wanted to be an actor. Maybe you just want to be secure, safe, paying your bills and have some land, right? Maybe you just want a couple simple things. Regardless, decide where you want to be. Visualize it. It doesn't have to be a year out. It could be 5 years out, right? Do your 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan. Whatever, you don't need to do it just like that, but make some goals, some that are immediate, some that are a little ways out, and some that are farther out. Make some goals, outline the steps. The journal is so important. Writing these things down, which is what I do every day. Writing these things down is so important because now I know. Now I know what's to come, what to expect, right? And when curveballs come, I can refer to my path that I've written down. Like, all right, so I still want to get to this destination, but now I have to deal with this. How am I going to get through this to get here, right? It becomes important. The farther down this path that I go, the more important it seems to become. It's like I'm accepting, oh, this thing's working. Okay, let's keep doing it, kind of thing, right? My brain is learning. I'm retraining myself. Yeah. Yeah. I think in a British accent all the time, Steph. 22 years sober. Wow, that's a big deal. After watching a movie where all characters have accents, have you ever spoke with an accent for fun for an extended period of time, and then when you forgot, you just kept talking in that accent, like it stuck? Like you forgot how to talk in your own accent? I've done that. Thanks, Shannon. Shannon says you're on fire today. How do I amuse you? Well, you're just quite amusing, You're just quite amusing, Rolling Stone. IKEA has some sound wall. Cheap. That sounds like a plan, Lori Abs. I tell you what, I wonder where the closest IKEA is. I always assume that like acoustic foam or whatever it's called, those panels are expensive. I always assumed so. And if you saw the surface area on the walls in here, you'd have a heart attack thinking about putting little panels up. Heather Rhodes, what's going on? Steph, meditation can look different for us. I have severe ADHD as well. I don't think other people would consider it meditating, but what people talk about, the benefit they talk about getting from meditation. Real quick, Steph says, I have severe ADHD. Meditation is not an option for me. I have found that if I'll put music on and then just like lay down and think about stuff, or I'll like just sit down and look at the wall, or there are things that I can do that involve a slight amount of stimulus, but also just letting my brain go, that have some meditative qualities. Really, the key to the whole meditation thing is to not get hung up on thoughts, right? Because thoughts are always coming, but just allow them to be, right? Don't, for example, when the thought comes, like I'm late on my rent, don't hold on to that that thought, like, oh, I'm late on my rent. No, just kind of let it, okay, I'm late on my rent, whatever, and that thought can hang out, it can leave, whatever. But the point is to not be attached to the outcome of your thoughts. So you don't have to sit silent and not move, right? Which is literally impossible for us with ADHD. You can do this in a number of different ways. The key is to just be calming your mind, right? And whatever is going on up there is okay. Just accept it. So just a thought. I'm not saying you need to meditate, but if it is something you're even slightly interested in, you can go about it in a slightly different way. And you may have some success. I know that I have. And I have ADHD with the best of them, I tell you what. I tell you what. I tell you what. Rick Smith says, that's a fact. I found my journals a while back, read through a lot of them. Damn, I was messed up. So glad to be back in the real world. Still taking subs, but don't have the want for drugs. Dude, I love that so much, Rick. Dude, sometimes going back and reading like journal entries from, I don't know, from a while ago is rough. It's wild that the different places our minds can be. I'll go back and read some of my first journal entries ever from like the first time I did AA, and it's really, really scary to like think about where I was in my head and in my heart back then. I was a completely different person. The words themselves are scary. It's interesting, right? But also one of the great reasons to journal, to see that growth, right? To see that change, to see that perspective, that distance, that difference in who I used to be and who I am now. But, they say the ones closest to you see the change first before you do even. And I found that to be true for sure, for myself at least. How do you say water, Flicks? Flick Fox? I wish I could just get a little audio recording from you. I wonder how you're saying water that people don't understand. Probably in the cutest way ever. I love accents. I wish that I could do a Russian accent. I think out of all the accents that I wish that I just had down to a science. Honestly, I wish I could speak fluent Russian. I think that would be so friggin' cool. It's just a cool sounding language. It's just a sweet sounding language, Das Vidanya. I believe that means good night or tomorrow or something. Now I have to know. I'm just spitting crap out of my mouth. What does it mean? Yeah, it means goodbye. That means goodbye. Okay. Till next time. You know what I mean? I am also neon white in Photom Truck. Although living out here has given my face a nice red sheen. It's also wild that sometimes you're in the same place as before. Does that mean I had no growth? Well, it could. There also might be some growth that you're not aware of, but I would have to say that's a pretty strong indicator that no progress has been made. Only you can tell yourself whether or not there's been progress. You know what I mean? So it does sound like that does sound stagnating, Dirty Mouse. I'm going to be honest with you, and no judgment. I want the best for you, dude. I'm not mad or anything, but yeah, that does. To be frank, that does kind of sound like there's no growth going on. And again, there's obviously other factors that I'm not considering, but. Brazy Girl says, Dirty Mouse, great question. She's nicer and more patient than myself. I should work on that. Something I'm working on. Charlie Mullins, the first subscriber, everybody. He is in the house. Always a pleasure. I'm glad you made it, Charlie. How's your day going? What accent do I have, Spanx? English is not my first language. I'm from Europe, but I love a Southern accent and a slight Canadian accent. Well, I was born in Texas. Every time I go visit my family there, I come back with an accent for like a week, and then I would imagine that my accent is partial to all the places that I've been. I moved around a lot growing up. So I'm sure I have some Midwest. I'm sure I have some, I shouldn't say Midwest. I have some Illinois, have some California, have some Colorado, some Utah. I have the Mike accent, the Michael. I've got that Spanx Calhoun accent. I say y'all a lot just to differentiate myself from other people. And it's nice because I don't like to say you all. That sounds dumb, you know? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Rona Cooley, what's going on? What accent do you have, sweet koala? You totally have an accent, Brazy Girl. Why don't you say about just one time? Just one time. How you doing, by the way, Brazy Girl? On this fine Tuesday. What kind of fish, Miss Chicago? At first glance, this looked fishy. But I feel like you've spent like the whole week here hanging out, so I find it hard to believe that you're out here fishing. So I'm gonna bite. Spanx, I'm on parole for murder of a fish. I didn't do. The courts don't care. I fought for nothing. Can we have some more information? Pretty please. What accent, eh? Yeah, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Don't make me bring up that one show that I know you're a huge fan of. I guess there's two of them. I love the not accent. I love the Canadian accent. I think it's great. It's fun. You know what I mean? It's way fun. Eh? No. We're having too much fun. It's a good day. I knew it was going to be a good day when I opened my eyes and felt good. Sometimes it'd be like that. Sometimes that's all it takes. Until I wasted. This double screen setup is legit. I can watch One Piece and work on my work at the same time. I don't need yeah, it's awesome. Kristen Kruger, welcome in. Kristen says, hello to all. Thank you, moderators. Yeah, thanks, mods. Got the best mods in town, I tell you what. There's a ton of Australians here, sweet koala. I'm going to just tell you right out the gate. We have Australian friends. We actually have people on the crew from all over the world. I would not be surprised. We get representation from the wildest places. I tell you what. Shout out to my international peeps. Shout out to my crew tuning in from all over the world. I appreciate every single one of you. I think it's way cool too. It's exciting. What's going on? End of musing. Welcome in, brother. Hope this message finds you well. I know things have been a little rough lately. And speak of the devil, I'm pretty sure the end of musing is from Australia. So be nice to the Australians. We love them. Rolling Stone says, I'm cultivating more of a Maine accent. Pinky up. Just to annoy all the new people. Well, guys, this has been fun. We're going to continue on this path. It's going to be like an escalator to greatness, except we're already great. You know what I mean? We're just going to keep getting more and more greater and greater, as they say, as it were. I think we'll pick up tomorrow, right where we left off today. I would like to continue this dialogue, this narrative, this story of early sobriety, choosing who we want to become, right? Choosing who we've always visualized we want to be, and acting that out. The last things we talked about were first priority was sobriety, immediately setting up a support system, letting everybody go, right? Evaluating our friend group. Most likely, a lot of them are gonna get the chopping block, right? We're gonna only keep the ones that have our best interests at heart. Becky USA, good morning. Greaterer. So that's our first priority, right? Setting up a support system, evaluating our friend group who we're spending time with, right? Second priority is picking some hobbies to fill your extra time with. Because when you stop living the life, when you're not at the bar with the boys, when you're not, having to go get a sack, when you're not having to make money to feed your habit, you're going to have a lot of time on your hands, which we have to fill with something. Otherwise, we're going to crash and burn, right? So we choose some hobbies. If you're capable of doing the physical activity, that's what you're going to do. If you're not, we're going to have to fill that time with something, right? So it doesn't need to be physical, but the benefits of physical activity are not to be discounted. Pick a hobby, fill your extra time with it, right? So the next bit we're going to get into tomorrow morning is going to be about laying out steps to reach your goals, right? It's going to be a little broader subject matter, but for me, I chose this YouTube thing. I want to do this. I want to change the world. I want to be free. I want to travel, right? So there's some clear steps, and I guess just to go through it real quick, one of the steps was move to YouTube Mecca, right? Move where my dad's at so he can help and teach. And also, it's interesting how when you start making the right decisions and you start moving in alignment with your path and like what you can do, things kind of line up, right? Like, so moving here was like a triple-edged sword. Not only was I getting closer to my dad who's doing the YouTube thing, right? And my uncle who's doing the YouTube thing. This is what I want to do, right? They're already doing it. They can help me out. So that's one aspect. But also my dad's sick. He's dying. So I wanted to be out here so I can take care of him. Thank God that he seems to be doing great, right? He does have a brain injury, and it's never getting better. It's only going to get worse. But that being said, I'm really grateful that I don't have to take care of him right now. But I'm ready. I'm out here. I can take care of him if that comes to pass. And then the third aspect of that move was to change my environment, right? It's hard to succeed and live a different life when I'm constantly reminded of my old one. That's part of getting rid of my friends, but also like changing my scenery was key for me, at least. It would have been 2 or 3 times as hard to do what I've done, having to look at all of the carnage that I created every day and being reminded of the bad decisions that I make every day. If you have the ability to change your environment, you will thank me later. I promise. My dad's dying, sweet koala. He has a degenerative brain disease. Wait, what is it? I was about to say degenerative brain disease. I'm not entirely sure what my dad has, but he has a brain injury, a traumatic brain injury, and it's never getting better. It's only going to get worse. Right now, he's doing great, right? When you see him, you can tell he's doing really good, but he has bad days. His bad days are friggin' scary, dude. So, but no, we are blessed. I don't want you to worry about him. He's doing the best that he can. We're doing the best that we can. And I, for one, I think he's going to live a long life. I think he's got many years left on the planet. What do those doctors friggin' know? But I tell you what, he's dying. Yeah, he's definitely dying. There you go, Kathy Ann. Traumatic brain injury. CTE. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Yeah. Repeated head trauma, repeated physical assault involving hit in the head. These are causes. Yeah. Definitely has all this. Voluntary head bashing. I do not want to read about this anymore. It's terrifying. Okay. Miss Chicago says, Southern living is great in the country. I tell you what, one day I'll have some land. Nothing but the birds for company. I tell you what. Izzy E, good morning. Good morning. Sweet koala, I do not know. I do not know. I don't know what the diagnosis is, as far as like what the doctor said, and I don't know. Kathy Ann says, doctors told me I would be in a wheelchair by 20 and never able to have kids. This is coming from a mother that loves her children. Encephalopathy. Yeah, there we go. I can pronounce things. Thank you for that leg up. I really needed that, Kathy Ann. Yeah, so the moral being, we don't really know. The doctors will say what they say. I don't even know what they say. But I mean, judging by how well he's doing right now, I think he'll live forever. Who knows? He'll never die, right? But in reality, I don't know. I don't know what the outlook is. I'm going to keep close to him. I tell you what, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there when he falls to pick him up. Not physically. He's a big dude. I need to put some weight on him before I could actually physically lift the guy. But yeah, the doctors always give the worst outcome, Becky. I think that's because they don't want you to come back and be like, what the heck? You said 6 months. It's only been a week, Jimena says, sad I missed this live. Please send my love to your dad and sending my love to you. Sending all the healing vibes your way. I'm receiving it. I tell you what. Thank you, Jimena. I appreciate that. I will pass that on to my pops as well. Puka Vista says, well, with my mom's brain degeneration, they gave her a year, it was 10, and she was much further along than your dad. And, I don't think that it's possible to really tell how long he's got left. You know what I mean? We could just hope for the best. He might live forever and he might die tomorrow. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to die tomorrow, and I don't think he's going to live forever. So probably somewhere in between. But, yeah, I'm just going to hope for the best and not focus on it. I keep getting it every day at 8 o'clock. I get a notification from this amplifier company that I have an app for the guitar amplifier on my phone. I'm going to have to adjust that. Every day at 8 o'clock, it reminds me that version number 2 is coming. It's like, dude, I barely use version number 1. Get out of here. Becky USA says, you're a great son. Dude, thanks for saying that. I wasn't always. I wasn't always. All right. I'm getting pretty hungry, guys. I might have to get out of here. Might just have to do it. In retrospect, we're all dying, says Steph, 22 years sober. That's such a massive amount of time, Steph. I'm so stoked on that. I might just pull out the official participation trophy. Burp, 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 burp. 22 years, wow. I think the longest I've spent sober was, I guess, before I ever tried any drugs, right? So that was like 14 years, but that doesn't really count. So I think like 2.5 years tops is probably the most time I've ever spent sober. Brianna Miller says, my father-in-law has Parkinson's. They gave him 2 years. It's been almost 15 now. That is a long amount of time. Get them ducks in a row, Ben. Line them up. Bye. All right, guys. Yeah, no, you're right. Now that I've said it, I have to do it. Have a great day, all of you. I love you all. You guys are the best crew a captain could have. I tell you what, I'm definitely blessed. The crew of the lifeboat is fantastic, amazing, and growing. No big deal. Real quick, I want to ask you, what do you think of the new setup? Could you tell a difference? You probably can't tell any difference at all, but I mean, it's not even really a new setup. I just learned that I have to have it like this. I'm going to play with it some more though. I would like to have chat here and then something over here that matters. I don't know how to do it though. I don't know how to do it right now. I'm going to have to play. If I could pop out. Okay. All right. Whatever. I'll play with it some more. All right, y'all. For real this time. We'll get back into tincture time some other time. I've been having some struggles. I've been eating spicy food, really spicy food every day. We did tink time, I think, 3 days ago in the morning, and I have been really feeling it, really feeling that spice throughout my whole body for like 3 days. And I keep eating spicy food, but I only did tink the one day, so I don't think I'm going to do tink today. In fact, I should say I'm not going to do tink today, but I would like to do some more tink. But I've been struggling with the whole process. I know I'm a tease. I'm getting out of here. I love you guys.